Tuesday, everyone. Does anybody have any wins for me today? If you do, throw them over in the chat. Third week of body, I've lost 34 pounds and my glucose went from 148 to 87. Wow. Good for you. Ooh, scars are going away. That's huge. That's good. I love that. My A1C is 5.9 and the doctor lowered my thyroid hormone. Wow, way to go. That's exciting. Seeing gradually disappearing patch of eczema that has been on my elbow for years. That is awesome. I've dealt with that, so I know how huge that is. Just started balance yesterday and already today I was more stable in the yoga portion of my workout. That's great. All right, Dr. Cole, now you can go ahead.
Today I was going to talk about alcohol. A lot of people ask us, on the program, can they have this or that? And as adults, what we always say is you're an adult, you can do whatever you want to do. I like thinking of it more like we choose not to do things because we have a specific goal in mind. So when you think of it as it's my decision to not do this, it doesn't feel so restrictive. It's a bit of a mind thing, but it works. But with alcohol, it's like sugar. It's like bad fats, right? These are things that are not ideal. When somebody has cellular damage and inflammation, somebody's toxic, when their liver is under a lot of stress because it's your major detoxifying organ. And as Americans, we're filled with toxins most of the time. Putting more stress on the liver is not ideal. And our goal is cellular healing. So we really don't want to be throwing little bits of gasoline on that fire to keep it roaring at the cell level. We want to put that fire out. Now, with that said, does that mean having a glass of wine, slipping up and having a drink on rare occasion is going to totally undermine your program? No, it probably doesn't mean that at all, but results are commensurate to the effort we put into it. So just keep that in mind. Then once you're well, then there are some alcohols that you can consume, like healthier wine. You can consume that health. It can actually add to your health. There are benefits to certain alcohols. So I wanted to just cover some of the negative effects, though, kind of implant this into your mind so that if you're thinking about it, you might remember this and decide, you know what, it's not worth it right now. Let's get through the program and see where this takes me. Paid a lot of money to be here, right? I want to get maximum results. Alcohol is neurotoxic to the brain. For years, we heard things like it kills brain cells. It doesn't really do that directly, but it can lower thiamine levels in the body. Semi-regular consumption of alcohol can lower thiamine levels in the body, which can have a really negative impact on the brain's ability to regenerate itself. It's called neurogenesis, your brain cell's ability to replicate. And with low thiamine levels caused by alcohol consumption, it can impair that ability to replicate new cells. And that's not a good thing. The good news is, though, whatever we do see with the brain, unless it's alcoholism type stuff where it's chronic heavy drinking, most of the stuff is reversible, but it takes a little bit of time. We used to think nerve brain tissue was not fixable when it was damaged, but we know that it is. It's just slow healing. Also, on top of that, it's surprisingly detrimental to the immune system, where even a little bit of alcohol decreases the activity of the white blood cells, very much like sugar does, making somebody for hours after alcohol consumption more susceptible to infection or the development of disease. Our immune system has to be healthy and functioning. And in today's world, especially, we're worried about all of these microscopic, unseeable bugs. We want to maintain a strong immune system. And it's kind of scary to think about the fact that even just a little bit of alcohol, especially in some people, can cause an immediate decrease in white blood cell activity. It also lowers the circulating levels of T cells and B cells in our body. So it does have a negative impact on the immune system. It's also carried to every cell in the body. It's not just your liver, or it's not just your brain. Every cell is impacted by alcohol. And that includes your brain. It does include your liver, but it includes your muscles, your skin, your heart, your kidneys. Every cell in our body, when we consume alcohol, is impacted. But again, I want to be really clear that moderate, mild consumption of alcohol is not going to be something that's going to create health problems in people ordinarily. But I want to reemphasize that we're talking about people in this program who are not well, right? You have underlying health issues. And so you're going to be more sensitive, where somebody who is healthy, it's not going to be as impactful. One example would be somebody carrying around more weight, somebody who's obese. We know that the more obese you are, the smaller amount of alcohol it takes to do damage in your liver. And we don't want to be messing with the liver. I'll get down to the liver here in a second, but alcohol also damages our gut lining. And it does that quickly. About 4 seconds after alcohol touches the gut lining, it begins breaking it down. And again, not a big deal because our gut replicates really quickly. But if you have a leaky gut, if you have a damaged gut, you don't want to be throwing gas on the fire. I think more importantly, though, what it can do to our microbiome. If we have an altered microbiome already, most of you do. Most of you have a condition called dysbiosis, where you have not enough good bacteria, too many bad bacteria. That imbalance in the bacteria is going to be fed by alcohol, right? So we don't want to be doing that when our goal is to try to fix our gut. It also can naturally increase the amount of bad bacteria in our gut, and it contributes to a leaky gut, which if you have a leaky gut, now the bad bacteria that are in your gut that have over proliferated, there's too many of them, they produce poisons, they produce toxins, and those toxins can escape from the gut into the bloodstream where they wind up in the liver. And that's just more of a stress for the liver. Now, as it relates to the kidneys, alcohol has been shown to alter kidney function, decreases our kidneys' ability to filter blood. It also has a negative impact on electrolytes and fluid levels in the body. And anybody who's ever overdrank in an evening can tell you how dehydrated and parched you are the next day, right? And that's the effect that it's having on the kidney, that we're dumping lots of fluid as a result. And when we dump fluid, we dump electrolytes, and we don't want that if we're trying to be healthy. Whenever you're dehydrated, it's a continued stress on the kidney. And then finally, the liver. This is probably the big thing in my mind. We're trying to detoxify people from a cellular level. And most of the people that we see are here in large part because they're toxic and they've never experienced detoxification at the cellular level. Well, your major detoxifying organ is your liver, and it's already under a lot of stress in today's world. And when we consume alcohol, that alcohol has to be broken down. Even a little bit of alcohol has to be broken down in the liver. And when it's broken down in the liver, it can cause the production of what are called metabolites. I don't want to get too lost in the weeds here, but it breaks the alcohol into two separate parts. And one of those parts is a metabolite that can do damage to our liver. For somebody who's undergoing liver stress already, I'm not trying to scare you guys. If I were to do a blood test on you, a lot of you would already show the beginning or even beyond beginning effects of a fatty liver in your body. And alcohol can really exacerbate that in the liver. Even a small amount, if you're already developing a fatty liver, you do not want to be drinking alcohol for a period of time. The good news is that it's really fixable. You can reverse a fatty liver to a large extent. There are cases that have gone too far, but I had a fatty liver. I had a blood test back in the day when I wasn't taking care of myself and kind of living my life out of convenience because I was super busy and running different businesses and raising a young family, and I was making excuses and I was doing things I shouldn't do. And I got a blood test and they found out that I had a fatty liver amongst some other things, but I was able to reverse that in really fast order. And if I had been continuing to throw gasoline on the fire, it wouldn't have happened. Now, I didn't get my fatty liver from alcohol. I don't really drink. I got mine from eating too many bad foods, right? Being stressed out in other ways. The liver is the main thing that I wanted to stress here because we have to have you guys detoxified. In that prep phase, when we start you off, we have that one pill. It's called L-liver. And that's because the liver plays such a role in your ability to get well. We get into the later phases, right, where we're now releasing toxins, grabbing a hold of them. We need to be able to process that stuff. And the liver is what does that. One final story that I'll tell you. I knew this was going to be a quick teaching here, but it'll give us a lot of time for questions. Maybe this will implant in your mind. You'll remember. I had a husband and wife who were patients of mine. Denny and Cheryl are their names. They both got on the program at the same time. Unlike most couples, Cheryl, the wife, was making really fast progress. And Denny was making no progress. And they came in for one of their visits and we sat down and he was complaining that, Doc, I'm not getting anywhere and this isn't working for me. and I don't know what's wrong, but it's not, the program isn't right for me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Denny, it's not the program's not right for you. I said, there's something keeping you from getting well right now. There's some kind of a roadblock. I said, we got to figure out what it is. Well, he said, it can't be my diet because Cheryl and I eat the same thing. She fixes what we eat and I eat it. So it's the same thing. And I said, there's no deviation. And he said, no. I said, when you're at work, you don't like snack. He goes, there's never. And Cheryl goes, well, how about your wine at nighttime? He goes, well, like two small glasses of wine. That's not going to be a problem. And I'm like, I don't know, Danny. I said, it might be. I said, I'm not saying for sure I know. Let's try and stop it for a while and see what happens. Well, he stopped it, and it was literally just a matter of days. Everything started to turn around for him. And he wound up getting really excellent results. But it's an extreme example. I'm not saying everyone's going to be that way, but it was that way with Denny. He couldn't progress because whatever that wine was doing was not allowing his body to see results. But when he stopped it, everything changed. So, and I don't know if he really only drank two. Maybe he drank more than two. Anyway, I just wanted to tell that story because if you're thinking about, is this going to bother me or not? It probably won't. If you're strong enough and your willpower's enough and you can avoid that stuff, you're better off. And our goal here to reduce inflammation and fix our cells. So are there questions that I can answer?
I read that vodka is the cleanest alcohol. Is that true?
Probably of hard alcohol, hard liquor.
If a person is gluten intolerant or has celiac disease, would an alcohol that is made from grains that have gluten cause the same effect as eating the grain?
Yes.
Do you think statins have anything to do with brain function?
There's research now that shows that it's leading to Alzheimer's disease. And it's also leading to, you'll see commercials where you'll see lawyers that will come on and be like, are you a female who's developed type 2 diabetes and you're taking a statin drug? Call my office, because there's a relationship being shown right now between the development of type 2 diabetes and the use of statins in females.
I've never been able to drink, feel immediately poisoned, like I can't break it down. I'm concerned about twice a day TMI and thyroid drops. Are there other options?
Not really. I mean, if we're trying to get iodine, I mean, you could eat sea vegetables, you could do it that way, but you could always stop it too if it's a problem. You don't have to consume that supplement if it creates any kind of an issue for you. I would also tell you to don't be afraid to back way off the dosage. People, we think in terms of like, I have to take, when I start a supplement, we take it every day. But what about if we just take it every other day? What if you just take it every third day? Like when we're eating food, like we don't get the same nutrients every day. Like we get all of our necessary nutrients in one day. And then the next day we get up and get all of our nutrients again. That's not how it works. Especially if we're eating a varied diet, we are going to have more nutrients some days and maybe none of those nutrients the next day. And so it doesn't have to be an everyday type of thing. So you can baby step it.
Would Dr. Cole be able to talk about the email on the Solutions to Hair Loss program? I do want to sign up, but have questions. Is this best to do after we complete CHA program and brain phase? And will the discount still be available at that time? I have 2 weeks of body and then the brain phase left to complete. Dr. Cole, you can answer this, but I will answer that as long as you have that coupon code, as far as we know right now, it will not expire. So if you receive that email and say you want to do it after brain phase, which is, I'm assuming that's Dr. Cole, what you'll say is best to do, just keep that email with the coupon code in it and you can use it when you're ready.
I want to touch on that though, Felicia, because I'm one of these people that I can't keep my mouth shut. I'm hearing this through the grapevine. I've not seen this myself, but I'm hearing through the grapevine that we got a little bit of blowback from some clients that they were, at least it came off as they were offended that we would have made this offer after they spent all this money on the program. I don't want to get too involved here, and I definitely don't want to make this a negative thing because we're here to be positive. But, I think a lot of that comes from the fact of not knowing what that program entails. I mean, we're here to help you with your hair loss. We're here to give you advice. If you look at the testimonials, you'll see lots of people, including Felisha herself, that through this process, they've been able to see a dramatic shift in hair loss and hair regrowth. But it's not always going to be the case. There are underlying issues that go beyond what we're dealing with, especially with hair loss. It's a very tough subject. If you ask your doctor, if you go to your medical doctor and ask for advice on hair loss, they're going to look at you like you have three heads, because they're not going to know what to tell you. By and large, they might tell you the standard things like have more biotin, take a hair supplement. That's almost never the answer for somebody. It's a deeply rooted problem. It has a lot to do with hormone optimization, hormone resistance. There's a lot of other factors involved here. What we did was we took this lingering problem for people that were not responding on the program, and we created a really in-depth program that is covering so many bases that are just never covered in mainstream medicine, and especially even natural medicine. There's really nothing, to my knowledge, that's out there like what we have created here. And it gets down to that cellular level again. It's our philosophy. It took a lot of work on our part. We've literally, Felisha, am I telling the truth here, that we've been working on this for nearly a year? And we have, we brought in my son, we brought in Dr. Pompa, and we've collaborated on this. We're not charging a lot for the program if you really know what we put into it. To date, and Felisha can verify this, I think we have spent like $350,000 in putting this program together. And we're going to be lucky, honestly, to even get that back out of it for what we're charging. And we're giving a discount, and we're not telling you, my goodness, we're not saying like you have to do this. We're just making an offer. And if it doesn't fit your thing and you can't afford that, that's fine. We're not trying to twist your arm. We're not suggesting that you have to do this. It's just something that goes above and beyond the program. We have additional supplements. We have additional things that we've created, protocols that go into this whole process. It's very detailed. This is not just giving you a piece of paper and say, here's the program. We've created videos, we've created a lot of content, a lot of support. I just wanted to pass that on because I was hearing that some people were offended by that. I feel bad when that happens. We're not, if you don't know me by now, guys, I mean, you maybe hang around a little bit and hopefully I'll be able to show you this, but my main driving force is not money. It's not money. My main driving force has always been, how can I help sick people get well? That's what I felt like God did for me in my life. And that's why I do what I do. And I'm not saying there's not a business component to that. The Bible talks about left hand, right hand, right? I mean, I can't be dumb. I can't be giving everything away and not making any money so that I can pay my own bills or support my own family. But it's not my driving force. I always have felt like if I do my part, that God will take care of me. That's how we were coming at it. So I just hope you understand where my heart is at in this and where my team's heart is at. Our goal is to help people. Look, last thing I'll say, we can talk about hormones and we can talk about weight loss and we can talk about low energy and all of these things when it comes to a person's health. But you talk about a female's hair, and that gets to be really, really a serious thing. I mean, I've seen more tears over that than any other thing as it relates to this thing that we do about health. And so we wanted to create something that was special. And I feel like that's what we did. But don't be offended by it. We're not telling you have to do it. It's just, it costs us a lot of money to do it. We can't just give it away. We've got to at least try to recuperate that. But you'll see the value in it. You'll see it. It'll be, if for somebody who's dealing with problems and they're able to get their hair back, I mean, is it worth that little bit of money? I think it is.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I just want to say I haven't had hair and I've struggled with my hormones and my thyroid for 4 years. I'm in my first week. I'm going to be starting tomorrow of the balance phase. And I literally I've said this on another video, sprouts growing. And my daughter noticed last week that I have eyebrows starting.
Oh my goodness, you're giving me goosebumps.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So there's something working.
Thank you.
Thank
Tam.
you.
Awesome. Gave me goosebumps too. I still have them actually.
All right, let's get back into questions. I had high liver enzymes on my way to fatty liver. I don't drink either. I drink one drink every couple years. Carnivore last year got my levels back to normal range, but I am sure they were on their way up again with a pandemic diet.
I was shocked when I went in and had my blood tested. I tried to raise my life insurance, right? And they did a test in my office. They drew my blood and came back and said I had fatty liver. And pre-diabetes, and I had all these things happening, high blood pressure. Here I am trying to tell people how to get healthy, and I'm so unhealthy. They told me I failed the test and I needed to pay a premium to raise my life insurance. Well, that was really the kick in the pants that I needed to just turn things around. But fatty liver happens really quickly. I read an experiment where they said they took a group of males and they drank 4 beers a day for 2 weeks, and they saw their liver enzymes jump precipitously, heading towards the beginning of fatty liver in the body after 2 weeks of just drinking 4 beers a day.
I had it, but you know me, and you can attest to this. Be honest, I do not drink alcohol.
No.
So eating more healthy is what corrected your fatty liver. I've been diagnosed with fatty liver disease. That's
Yep.
what did it for me.
Yep, definitely. And it did it quickly too.
No questions so far today, although I want to say a huge thank you to Dr. Poole and the whole CHA team. The support is absolutely incredible. And from the moment I watched the cool class, it just all made sense. I've been on what I call a seeking true health journey for almost a year now. I am finally sleeping better, feel better, mindset is better, losing more weight, and so many more positive things.
Well, thank you for saying that. That helps a lot because, you know, we occasionally get people that will respond in the Facebook that they feel like they are not getting the support. And I don't quite understand it. I feel like, you know, I don't know where the signals get crossed. You know, I don't know where we're not doing our thing. I always want to know that, though, if we're really not doing that. But I want to extrapolate, if I could, for a minute on that, because this post was about not getting results in the program. And I always feel bad about that because nothing makes me happier when I see people like Tammy get on there and I could see her little sprouts, Tammy. I could see them in the thing. You know, that excites me so much. Some people they're just going to take time to get well. And I always would say this to you: if you're a person out there listening to me right now and you're not getting the results, there's always a plan B. Like, we have other tools in the toolbox. And it could be something as simple as, I just met with your coaches today on this, that we could shift your diet. We could take you off of what you're doing and we could make a shift, what we call diet variation. And when we make a diet variation, what we see is oftentimes microbiome change can happen within days, literally just by changing our diet. We see a down regulation of inflammation just by changing the type of diet that we're on, believe it or not. And there's other things that happen, like optimizing your hormones by changing your diet, going from, say, a higher carb diet to a lower carb diet. This is what our ancestors did naturally when they didn't have carbohydrates during the wintertime. They went into ketosis. They didn't know what that was called, but they lived on mostly animal products, high fat diet, moderate protein, very low carbs. And then in the summertime, opposite, they had tubers and roots, and they had berries and all kind of things carbohydrate wise that they could eat. They moved out of ketosis. But we know scientifically today that changing that diet variation, can have a profound impact. Here's the deal. If you think about us as Americans, especially, we have this ultimate availability of food, unlike our ancestors, right? Like, we can get food any time of the night. We can drive to the convenience store and we can buy whatever. And our grocery stores are filled to the brim and always available. But we wind up basically eating the same type of diet almost always. The typical female, because they don't vary their diet and they're eating the same type of foods, because they don't have the same hormones as men, this is what I believe the reason is, and I think a lot of people would concur, that they wind up stuck into what we call sugar burning mode. I don't want to get too deep here, but if you're a sugar burner and your body is primarily using carbohydrates for energy and is very bad at burning fat for energy, your symptoms are basically going to be lower energy levels than you think you should have, and the inability to lose weight easily. Some of you can't lose weight at all. Those are two major things. Maybe you only have one of those two, but it's a sign that you're not good. Your mitochondria, your energy factories, are not what we call flexible. They're not good at burning carbs and burning fat. And when we make a shift away from the standard American diet that is higher in carbs, even if they're healthy carbs, and we move out of that for a short period of time, it's not like we're saying do this forever. It's just diet variation. It could be seasonal. It could be even at some point, just month to month. But whenever we do that, and by the way, it can be week to week. You can literally, within the week, you can have 5 low carb days and you could have 1 or 2 high carb days. So you can vary that even in short time period. But that can make such a difference for you. So I just wanted you to hear that. And if you are going to talk with your coach, if you're stuck, if things are not progressing, and especially with energy and fat, those are the 2 major things. If you're not seeing those things change, then talk to your coach and they can direct you on how we can do this diet variation. But also, if it's not fat or if it's not energy, if it's other things, then it's usually going to boil down to a toxicity issue where you have to just go through the program, release those neurotoxins, and then you'll start to see your cells functioning at a higher level, which means you're going to function at a higher level because you're made of cells, right? There's always something else that can be done. That's my ultimate point. If you go through the full 4 months and someone comes to me and says, I didn't get any results, I'm nowhere near ready to throw in the towel. Like nowhere near. Like forget it. We've just started part 1. There's so many other things that need that we need to look at. Does the person have an ongoing source of toxicity in their life? Do they have feelings, which is 50% mercury? Do they have old root canals where they could have infections? Do they live or work in a moldy environment? These are some things that you can automatically look at. Nowhere near done. So don't throw in the towel if you're at that point. If Felisha had thrown in the towel, where would she be today? She would not be well because she didn't get results until the end, near the end of the program, even after the program, Felisha, right? That your results really came after the program.
Yep.
And here she is. She not only got well, but she fell in love with this, and now she's a health coach. So don't give up on yourself is what I'm saying to you. It's not 40 years, folks, 30, 40 years for some of you. It's not going to necessarily go away in 4 months. We may not be on the right track. We might have to shift course a little bit. But what I'm saying to you is there's other things that we could try.
I have narrowed down when I take in collagen powders or citrus, my eyes get bloodshot in the entire whites of my eyes and my head hurts. Also notice more hot flashes when I eat those. Is this a histamine reaction?
I would say no. Less than 1% of the population has a histamine reaction, true histamine intolerance. It's almost always a food intolerance or some sort of an immune response in the body, like a food allergy. That's what I would look at. Your body's telling you, right? Don't eat these foods for right now. And you get rid of those things that you know are creating that response, and then give it 3 or 4 or 5 months, and then try to reintroduce them back in again, and you'll know. And most of the time, people can reintroduce these foods back in after they lay off of them for a period of time.
What is this email? I never got one. So why did some get and others not? Everyone should have gotten one, I would assume. I don't know what happened with that, but make sure you do check your junk folder, because I would imagine a lot of them went there. If by chance you did not and you would like that email, I would encourage you to post that in the Facebook group and tag your coach, because they should be able to get that sent to you. I ordered my extra liver and kidney from Prep per last week. Do you remember that conversation last week?
Yes.
Yes. Can I take it during all phases, or should I stop after balance?
You can take it during all phases for sure.
Also, I am taking the energy, ordered extra of it. Is it added back in body or brain? If it is added back in, should I keep taking the extra during those phases?
You can take the extra. It's not added back in, but I would take the extra. If it was, I wouldn't have a problem with that. You're not going to overdose on that stuff. Mostly water soluble type supplements. But I believe in this so much. Like my dad is 86 years old, and my dad's having some energy problems right now. And I just shipped him up some ENRG because it really does impact the mitochondria and our ability to not only have the building blocks to make more energy, but also helps your body make more mitochondria. So you can wind up with more energy factories, like a double win, right?
I am a heart patient. My heart doctor prescribed a statin. I know that now that I am eating healthy fats, but is there anything else I need to take when I stop taking my statin to help keep me from having heart surgery down the line?
I would highly recommend that you buy a book like The Great Cholesterol Myth by Dr. Stephen Sinatra. Felisha, what is the name of Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride's book? It's the red book that she has. If you look at under Amazon, if you Google Natasha Campbell McBride books, it'll come up as the red one. It's thin, but it's on cardiovascular issues. And I really would advise you to read that because it'll give you peace that what we are recommending is not only not bad for your heart, it's good for your heart. And it is counterintuitive. It's opposite. We call it the 180-degree solution. They tell us don't eat fat, right? Eat all these carbohydrates, have 6 to 11 servings of grains a day on the food pyramid, all of these things that they told us. And oils were at the top, and it was like this tiny little part of the pyramid. And where are we? We have more heart disease than ever. And it's not helping us with strokes and heart disease. It's because we've been getting advice, frankly. And you have to make a distinction between bad fats and good fats. Yes, you do have to make that distinction. Vegetable oil, corn oil, canola oil, hydrogenated oils, trans fats, these are very bad oils. They will hurt you. They will create inflammation and heart disease. Healthy fats, the fats God gave us from the beginning of time, those fats are going to do the opposite. They're going to help heal you because so much of you is made of fat. So many things in you require fat, like vitamin D utilization and manufacturing of D and your hormones. Well, vitamin D is a pro-hormone anyway, but your cell membranes made 2 layers of fat. Your brain, 80% fat. Your nerve coverings, 80% fat, right? So we need fat. We need fat in our lives. I have to make this disclaimer. I'm not telling anyone to get off their statins. I could get in big trouble for that. I'm not your medical doctor. I just would ask you to do your research, talk to your doctor about it. Ask him this. Show me one study, doc, just one study that shows taking a statin drug prolongs longevity, increases longevity in human beings. Just show me one. And then I would say, show me studies that your cholesterol level, how it's directly related to longevity. Show me any studies, because that's the big deal, right? High cholesterol, heart disease. Show me the studies, and then I'll zip it. But they are not going to be able to show you anything because it doesn't exist. As a matter of fact, there's so much research out there right now that shows that your cholesterol level has almost nothing to do with your risk of having a heart attack or a stroke. Yeah, that's true. I know it's so opposite, but there's research out there. This is not my research. This is the medical doctors. They're the ones who do the research, the medical community, right? And there's research out there. A lot of you probably have never heard this. There's research out there showing that the older you get, the lower your cholesterol is, the more likely you are to die. How about that? Everyone's talking about science today, right? Believe the science. Well, there's some science. Why are we not hearing that from the medical community? It's their own research. And then Natasha Campbell McBride was saying the other day about research showing that when our cholesterol levels are too low, like when we take statins, because it turns off your liver's ability to make cholesterol, that they're showing that there's a relationship between that and this anger, volatility, emotional depression, all of these brain issues because the cholesterol level's too low. So I hope I answered that. I don't even remember what the question was because I got so much into blabbering there, but
can I say something?
Mhm.
That was my question. The reason I was asking that was because my mom's doctor also put her on a statin, and she doesn't even have a cholesterol problem. Her problem was caused by her thyroid. Her heart was racing, and so then the doctor put her on the statin for that reason. And she's 77, and what you said about Alzheimer's concerns me about her and, me too in the future, because I was put on a statin about 10 years ago, and I took it for a while, and then I just stopped taking it because I had heard some things about it not being good for you too. And then plus it causes cramps in my legs.
Yeah, it's been linked. Sorry to interrupt you, but hold your train of thought there. But it's been linked to a condition called rhabdomyolysis, which is where it actually will eat the muscles in your body. Melts the muscles, so to speak. And the beginning parts of that is that it's damaging your muscle. You're feeling the effect in your muscle. And then you got to realize your heart's a muscle, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the fact that it lowers coenzyme Q10, and every doctor knows this. It depletes coenzyme Q10, and that is necessary for the beating of your heart, right? So here and there's 900 studies showing the damaging effects of these drugs in our body, but they can't produce one study that shows that it prolongs life in any significant manner.
And I wrote down those books. I'm going to look them up. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Cole. I am excited to do the hair loss program. Just wanted to be certain I was doing it correctly. I didn't get an email. Is it still coming? I checked my spam folder too. Would like the discount in case I need it at the end of this. Again, Carol, if you would like, you can go ahead and post this in the Facebook group and make sure you tag your coach and they'll make sure you get that. Dr. Cole, can excessive bloating in body phase be a sign of cell redistribution? Bad bacteria are revolting. I feel great with energy, good sleep, exercising 6-mile walks, trying to figure out what is making or causing in an anatomical way my body to stay bloated. We've discussed SIBO, but why would detox cause this?
I don't know that would be a common thing. My first thought when I hear that is possibly SIBO. A lot of times people who, when they have SIBO, they'll look like they're pregnant.
We've talked to her about this to a great extent.
Okay. But other than that, it could be, when I think of that, I think of a food sensitivity type problem. And what might be really beneficial for you for a period of time, you're not going to like my suggestion here. You're probably going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm already given up so much. What you should try is a more strict elimination diet. Just even if you just did it for a week, like just give yourself 7 days. Even honestly, if you just did it 3 days and see how you feel. But for 3 days, at least, just have, get rid of all plant products completely, because believe it or not, plants can be very bloating for a lot of people. And that includes all fruit, all vegetables, like just get rid of everything plant-wise. Primarily, it's going to just be your clean meats that are, and especially fattier type meats, like grass-fed steak, like wild salmon, and have that. You can have chicken in those things too, but try to make sure you're getting fat. You can cook your meat in like beef tallow. You can find that online, like Amazon will sell it. A lot of the grocery stores are selling it now. Definitely health food stores will have it. If you're looking to cook with any type of an oil, in other words, we're not going to cook with coconut oil and stuff like that. So try to get rid of all of the plant stuff for a period of time, very much like Felisha did when she went carnivore. And like that, I think it's really healthy that we try different things and we just stop doing what we're doing for a while and try something different. As long as it's, got that healthy backbone to it, then not saying go out and eat junk food for a week. And Dr. Cole said, try something different. I'm not saying that. If you want to listen to something really interesting, it's only 11 minutes long. A lot of you might know the guy. His name's Joe Rogan. He used to be the guy who was the host on Fear Factor. Remember that show where they made you eat bugs and stuff like that? I think last I heard, it was the most popular podcast in the world. If you type in under YouTube, Joe Rogan after carnivore diet, it'll come up. It's 11, just look for an 11-minute tape, 11 minutes and some seconds. And he's talking to his sidekick on the show. And he goes into 11-minute discussion on what transpired in his body when he went on this 30-day carnivore. Now, carnivore is AIP, right? It's super limited AIP.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you just took all of the things that you are still allowed to have and you winnow it down to like almost nothing.
But it's so satisfying. You would think that you're just going to eat that. Well, you're still going to be hungry. No, you're not still hungry. You felt fast, right, Dr. Cole? You tried it, what? And you were like, there's no way I'm getting all this in me.
I mean, I felt stuffed. My wife, she's doing it right now. My wife is on day 4. And like last night, like I was like, how do you feel? She's like, I am so full right now. I don't even want to think about eating anything else. Now, Joe Rogan, he tells you the good and the bad. He tells you for the first 2 weeks, he did have issues with diarrhea, but he felt like it was very cleansing, right? After the 2 weeks completely went away, his energy levels went through the roof. He lost 12 pounds of body fat, strictly body fat, no muscle. He just describes the experience. Now, and this is what he was eating. In the morning, he would have steak or eggs. Now, we have you off of eggs, so you would just stick to steak, right? Or you could have chicken or whatever, or fish, yummy fish in the morning. Yum.
Or intermittent fast if you'd like.
Yeah, or you can intermittent fast. Now, he would eat breakfast and he would not eat lunch, and then he would eat dinner. So he was eating 2 meals a day. And then for dinner, he was having steak, and he would have some bacon, some healthy bacon and stuff like that. But that was all he did for 30 days. I listened to that and I was like, that's inspiring. Like, I think I'm going to try that because it's so simple, number one. Like there's nothing to think about. And you can basically eat as much as you want until you're satisfied. It's going to be boring, I'll tell you that. But if you're looking at it from a health perspective, and man, I got so lost in this one, didn't I? But I said 3 days, but just even if you did it for 3 days and you're like, you see your bloating going down, you've got a food sensitivity. There's something, because this is a real elimination diet here, right? You've got a food sensitivity. When you start adding foods back in, you should be able to tell which ones are offending you. Don't add them all back in at once. Add them in one at a time and give it a couple days before you add another one in. And then you should be able to tell which ones are creating the problem with you. I bet you have a food sensitivity issue.
I just told him today that I'm amazed how I can eat a full meal. I am fully stuffed. But if you would look at my stomach, I still look lean and tight. I don't look bloated like I normally do. So I do. I love that.
We're not against plant food. I recommended that diet there with Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride. Those of you that don't know her, she is a medical doctor. She is a neurologist and very well respected. And she's the creator of what's called the GAPS diet, GAPS. Very renowned for helping children with autism and showing the relationship between a damaged gut and a damaged brain. She talks about how in our society, everybody that we see who's sick, they have a damaged, leaky gut, intestinal permeability. All of you have that, okay? At least you had it when you started. She has another book here called Gut and Psychology Syndrome. It's not about psychology like that. It's the brain. She's talking about the gut and the brain, gut-brain syndrome. It's very interesting book. It's that 180-degree solution though, man. If you're not willing to learn something new or be open-minded about it, you might not want to read it. Well, if you really were that way, you probably wouldn't be in our group anyway. But it's such good information, man. It's missing information we all need to be hearing about. Stuff our ancestors did out of necessity that we don't need to do anymore. It's not necessary. And so we choose to do things that are damaging us, but we can choose to do these things that they did out of necessity and get the same benefits. So I would highly encourage you guys to look at that. If something's not working, change what you're doing.
Sorry to digress. Listening from work, had a phone call and came back on to catch the tail end of Dr. Cole talking about hair loss. Is there anything extra we need to take for hair loss, or will CHA alone help?
CHA alone has helped a lot of women. We were just talking about a special program that we have created over the last year that really is the sole focus. I mean, that's all that we're talking about, is creating the conditions that deal with the reasons why. And it's multifactorial. That's why taking biotin almost never works, right? Because there's multifactorial reasons. It requires a multi-therapeutic approach. And we kind of just really zero in on that with that. We sent out an email pertaining to this program. That's what we were discussing. If you haven't gotten the email, you can ask your coach.
What if I did the second and third phase pills in backward order, did the body phase and going into the cellular phase in 3 days? They often recommend if you accidentally did body phase before I'm assuming you mean balance phase, you'll want to do body, brain, and then balance. But let your coach know in the Facebook group that you might have.
If you skip the balance like month 2 and you did the 3rd month, which is the body phase, then in your 3rd month, do the brain phase. And then after those prep body brain, then do the balance phase.
I'm bewildered over the weight issue. The last couple of days, all I ate was salad and homemade chicken soup with all compliant ingredients, and I gained a pound. We were just talking about this, Dr. Cole. I'll let you touch on it. Making sure that you're eating enough.
Girls, listen to me. This is such a big deal. I could bore you to tears with this. When you undereat, you go into starvation mode. Your body is saying, she's killing me. I need to hold on to my calories. I'm going to down-regulate my metabolism. I'm going to burn less calories, because if I keep burning calories with this little bit of food, I'm going to die. That's homeostasis, right? That's what your body did back when they didn't have food available for a week at a time. We do that all the time. You eat, undereat. You damage your metabolism. You have to even eat less calories to start losing weight. And the bad part about it is you'll probably at some point start burning muscle. You won't even burn fat, because your body, there's more calories per gram of fat, and your body will preserve the fat. It'll get rid of the muscle. So what you need to do is counterintuitive. You need to eat more. Hear what I'm saying? You go longer periods of time. When we're talking about intermittent fasting, folks, we're saying gain the benefits of not eating at all for a long stretch, i.e. intermittent fasting. Is it 12 hours, 14, 16, 18, 20 hours? Some of you are going to eat every 23, 24 hours, right? You're going to eat once a day and you're going to do a 24-hour fast. But when you do eat in that window that you have chosen, that eating window, eat. Don't be afraid to eat. Eat a satisfying full meal. Like this living like a bird, that's hurting you. There's advantages to doing that, like on a 5-day partial fast, where you've been eating well and your metabolism's high and you want to do a 5-day partial fast where you cut your calories way down. For just 5 days, you gain the benefit of eating less. But if you eat less all the time, your body is fighting back against you right now to preserve you, to keep you alive. So Felisha just noticed this in herself. You can tell them.
Mother's Day ate 3 meals, which is very unlike me. I've been intermittent fasting for the last 4 years. Don't eat breakfast, but I let myself go on Mother's Day and I had 3 carnivore meals. Then I came in here and I was like, Dr. Cole, scale went down and it just keeps going down. So
right, with that one simple thing that she did, she varied her diet. She ate more food. Her body was like, oh, she's not trying to kill us. I learned that in my bodybuilding days. I think some of you have heard me tell the story. I won't get into it too much, but I over dieted. I started to look worse. I was burning muscle and I gave up. I was weeks away from the show and I told my wife, forget it, order a pizza. And I ate that whole pizza and I thought I blew the whole program. And I got up the next day. I looked better than I had in weeks. And then I lost a ton more body fat from that. Diet variation, famine feast cycles. So that's what our ancestors did. Remember, feast, famine cycle. When you don't eat, go long periods of time where you're not eating, intermittent fasting. Then when you eat a robust meal. Do not be afraid to eat. When you do that, you break that cycle. And your body's like, nope, not trying to kill us. What does it do? Starts releasing fat. It reduces inflammation in your body. It upregulates hormone optimization. There's so many things that happen when you do this feast famine cycles. But if you're always in a famine cycle, which is why that 6 meals a day thing is the worst thing that they could have ever told us to do. 6 small meals a day when you're trying to diet, you're in a caloric deficit, eating 6 times a day, driving up insulin every time you eat, right? Insulin's your most powerful fat storing hormone. And then you send your body into starvation mode at the same time. What a wicked combo that is. And it's created a lot of hypoglycemic diabetics as a result of it. The hypoglycemic leading into diabetes, pre-diabetes and diabetes. So I hope I'm clear on that. For those of you that are having trouble losing weight, if you're under eating, eat more food. It's counterintuitive, but you'll see that your body will be like, okay, we can relax. Now, if you're already doing that, if you're not under eating, but you're eating too many carbs, you're stuck in sugar burning mode. You are in what we call weight loss resistance. You have to switch over to a low carb existence for a period of time, keto. So we have this thing, your coach can hand you this AIP/keto program. You're still in AIP, but now we're switching the macronutrients around, lower carbs, low carbs, forcing your body into fat burning, getting you to be what we call fat adapted. And it's not just for weight loss, by the way. When you are a sugar burner, there's only 2 ways you get energy, fat and carbohydrates. That's it. Most of you females, especially that are not well, you're stuck in sugar burning mode, where 85, 95% of what you burn in a day is carbohydrates for energy. You're really bad at burning fat. If you switch that over and you force yourself into fat burning by stripping away the carbs, not giving your body a choice anymore, now 85, 95, 98% of your energy is going to come from your fat stores. You'll get into what's called ketosis. Super helpful for the brain. People that are in ketosis feel like their brain is on high octane fuel and their energy levels come up. You downregulate inflammation. But you know, another thing that happens, you change your microbiome like that. You switch your microbiome over to a healthier relationship between good and bad bacteria. just from changing your diet like that. And there's a lot of other things. You actually upregulate autophagy. You upregulate stem cell production when you get into ketosis. Now, people will be like, well, I know somebody that was on a ketogenic diet and they didn't do well. If you stay on anything, you're likely to not do well. We want to alter what we're doing. It's like the best analogy, I'll leave it go at this, is exercise. What do you think would happen to a guy who went to the gym, started exercising for the first time, and after, 8, 10, 12 months, he's still doing the exact same program? He would have gotten results in the beginning, right? And then you would have seen those results go like this over time. Same thing with if we stay with a diet, the same thing. How does that guy get out of that? He switches his program up. He does something completely different. Then all of a sudden he's sore again. He's like, holy cow, I didn't even know I had those muscles because I haven't been sore in forever. The body acclimates. You need to force the body to adapt. That's the whole thing. That's what this is all about. Forcing adaptation. There's tons of research showing that if you take a cold shower or you get an ice bath, especially if you're in pain, if you have inflammation, take an ice bath for 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. It upregulates norepinephrine and growth hormone, cuts off the pain cycle. People start losing weight. They've done tons of experiments with this. When we make these shifts, whether it's exercise or diet or hot and cold, it changes our physiology. So really would encourage you to just try different things, man. Don't be afraid to switch things up. Be your own lab rat, if you will. I have heard that there is a correlation between high cholesterol and hypothyroidism. Is that correct? Both my mom and I have high cholesterol. Okay, is that the person I was talking to earlier? Maybe I didn't answer the first part of that question. Is there a relationship? I wouldn't doubt that there's a relationship, but let me explain the way that Dr. Campbell McBride would have explained it to our mastermind group the other day. She said that your cholesterol level is responding to damage in the body, that when you're not well, a lot of times your cholesterol level is going to go up because your body is trying. What is cholesterol doing? Your body's sending it to areas where there's damage. That's what cholesterol does. It helps. Your brain is 40% cholesterol. It's 80% fat, but 40% that's cholesterol. Your cell membranes, mostly cholesterol. So if you've got damage in those areas, your body is sending in cholesterol. You might see that level go up. If you've got hypothyroidism, you almost certainly have an autoimmune disease, right? Called Hashimoto's. 95, 97% of hypothyroid patients actually have an autoimmune disease attacking their thyroid. Your body might raise cholesterol levels. When we get people on a health program, a lot of times their liver is so blocked. That's where most of your cholesterol comes from. 70, 80% of your cholesterol is made in your liver, right? But when you're toxic and your liver's under a lot of stress, or you're like I was developing a fatty liver, guess what's going to happen? Your production of cholesterol is going to suffer. And the doctor is going to look at you and be like, oh, your cholesterol is great. It's not great. You need more cholesterol when you're damaged, when you're not well, when your body's trying to heal. So we get people on a program, we start detoxifying their liver in phase 1, where we're supporting the liver, right? Prep phase. And we see their cholesterol levels go up. And then their doctor's freaking out. And we're saying, no, it's exactly where it should be. Let that go. Quit trying to micromanage something that your body makes 70 or 80% of to begin with. It's doing it for a reason. And I love what Dr. Campbell McBride said. I love this to our mastermind group. She said, look, I want to alleviate your fears. She said, whatever your cholesterol level is, if you're not taking drugs to lower it, that's exactly what it should be.
She went as far as to say she wouldn't even let her doctor run her cholesterol numbers.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And this is from an MD, a neurologist with a tremendous track record of helping people. She's super well respected. If you listen to her talk, and you can YouTube her, you listen to her talk, she's got that little bit of a Russian sounding, not a little bit, but a strong Russian sounding accent. It just makes her sound even more intelligent to me. But yeah, I love that when she said, though, that it's where it should be. Just let it alone. And the research is there. Your cholesterol being higher, there's no relationship between a cholesterol number and your susceptibility to dying early. Are there some people who have a genetic disorder that cannot deal with cholesterol? Yes, there are those people. I've seen 2 people like that in 37 years. 2. They have crazy high cholesterol numbers, like 1,200. They were so full of cholesterol, they were actually developing lumps under their skin. That's a genetic issue there. That's a serious problem. What she's saying is the average person, and Stephen Sinatra, the heart surgeon, is saying the same thing in his book, The Great Cholesterol Myth, that we need to stop scaring people. 300 used to be normal. And then they keep lowering it. And it's not made one bit of difference. 60% of the people who have a heart attack and a stroke have normal cholesterol levels. What does that tell you? The numbers are not reliable. Trust the fact that your body, which is making the cholesterol, when you eat more cholesterol, folks, what does your liver do? It makes less. When you eat less, if you go down to no cholesterol, like literally eat no cholesterol, what do you think is going to happen to your cholesterol levels in your body? They're going to stay about the exact same. That's a fact. What should that tell us? Right there. I'm starting to sound like I'm angry. I'm not angry. I'm just saying it just should tell us something. That if you literally eat no cholesterol whatsoever, why does that not make your cholesterol level go down? Because your body needs cholesterol and it's producing it in the liver because it's necessary for life. Without cholesterol, we would be dead. That's a fact. It's one of my biggest pet peeves because there's so many people that are being damaged by this philosophy. We need healthy fats to heal our damaged parts of our body, which are composed so much of fat. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, just store them up for tomorrow and we'll talk more about it. I know I blab. I know a lot of you are like, shut up and get on to the next question. But I hope this is still worthwhile for you. When I get off here, I'm always like, why do I do that?
We'll be back tomorrow. It's all good.